Hi, welcome to the Egosia Art Studio. If you've been following this channel for a while, you know that I haven't been posting as many doll making videos as I did in the past. And there are a few reasons for that. First of all, I just haven't been making as many dolls as I have in the past. And so with fewer dolls, fewer videos about them. And of course, one of the reasons for that is that I haven't been making as much inventory to send out to galleries or to travel to art fairs and sell my work in those venues. So during that period, I had some time to think about what it was that I was doing with the doll making. And I'm really glad that you have been following this channel and that you've been watching the videos and that I've been able to help people solve a lot of doll making dilemmas, problems, answer their questions, and just educate people about the art form. Because when I was learning, YouTube didn't exist, and so you had to try and find a couple books. There were not many books, but mainly it was all trial and error. So I have been doing this for 20 years now, and it's been great. But the reality is it was never my intention to become a full-time doll maker. So during the past 2 years, I've had some time to think about what it is that I wanted to do with my work, because I got sidetracked in a serious way. And the reason for that is that the dolls are really popular, people love them, and of course when people are buying your work, you want to continue selling your work, which is great. But then, you just end up doing that and the original intention just kind of fades away. So the story here is that years ago I learned how to sew, and I was making clothes, and I love clothes and I love wearing clothes, but it's expensive to make full-size human clothes. So one thing led to another, and I started making dolls, and I was getting into the doll fashion, but the human doll thing just didn't work out, and there's a whole lot of weirdo stories about that, and I won't go there. But this was about the time when I finished grad school, and I am a biologist, and that is the key to this story. I'm from the American Southwest. I am from New Mexico and Arizona, and I did my work in Mexico. And I love the plants and animals that are from that region. And unfortunately, it's a very misunderstood area. So I got the idea, it's like, well, wait, why don't I use all of these sewing skills and recreate these animals in these costumes that replicate the colors and the patterns of their fur and their feathers and help educate people about the animals in that area. So that's how the whole animal thing started. But it just kind of took off. And after a couple years, when I was first beginning, my idea was to use these guys as characters in graphic novels to tell stories about the plants, the animals, the geology, and the scientific research in the region. And I know that sounds kind of maybe not so interesting, but I think it is, and that's important. So the thing is, it just kind of fell by the wayside. And this is like 20 years ago. So I was doing the whole doll making thing, and thinking about the graphic novel thing, and the whole thing was that I was gonna have the dolls, because I can't draw very well. I'm not a good pen and ink kind of person. And then I would take photographs of the dolls, and then I would do digital collage. And this is back when Photoshop was kind of beginning, right? Not all the fancy digital skills that everybody just seems to be born with now. But that was my idea. I was going to do the photography, the digital collage, and do the graphic novels that way. But, it just never happened because it was getting into the gallery thing, and I was traveling to shows, and people were just like really, really loving the whole doll thing. So it's like, okay, well, let's just stick with this for a while because it's successful. So then 2007 came along, and this was the economic downturn, and I don't know how many of you remember that. And it's really sad to say, that was 13 years ago. And that was the first time when I was like, wait a minute, is this really what I want to be doing? Because the reality is that my work is expensive. It takes a lot of time to create an artwork. And so then the artwork is priced appropriately. So not many people can afford to put down $500, $600, $700 for a cloth figure and not worry about paying the bills that month. And so, you know, I appreciate that. I know that my work is expensive, and I know that a lot of people like it, but they just can't afford it. And the truth is, I couldn't afford my own work, which is, you know, maybe sad to say, I don't know, but a lot of artists are in that boat. And so during the economic downturn, I was like, you know, it's really sad, because people would come into the booth and they would make a connection with a work and they would really love it, and we'd have a conversation, and then they would say, you know, I can't. And I understand, you know, I am not one of those high pressure selling kind of people, and I get it. And that sort of thing has never gone away. And so that's when I was thinking, you know, I really need to get focused on the whole graphic novel thing, because then I could provide digital artworks that would be accessible and affordable for everybody. It would be different than the three-dimensional doll in your living room, but the truth is, how many people really want something like that in their living room? Probably not too many, but lots of people want to see an interesting visual, and lots of people love to read stories. So again, that's where I wanted to go, and I just got sidetracked. I mean, how sad is it that that was 13 years ago? So the past 2 years, I have not been doing the dolls very much. I've been doing a little bit, but kind of in different ways. And, you know, it's been good, because that pressure's been taken off, and I've really been thinking about the books and the stories and the characters. And that's where I want to spend most of my time. So here I've been blabbing around for quite a while, getting to this point, which is that I'm not going to be posting as many doll making videos, because the reality is, you have all the basics here on this channel. How to make hands, how to do joints, all of that. And so it's like, well, how many ways are there to do those sorts of things? You've got all the basics here, and of course you can always ask me questions. But I've decided to spend the majority of my time working on my stories and creating the characters for those stories and creating the digital collages. So there will be videos. I will be posting, but maybe not as much of the sewing and the doll making. Probably more of the digital work and the collage work. And also too, I'm going to be starting a Patreon account, so that if you're interested in the day-to-day how-to, or what I'm doing in the studio, or the long process to get me from the beginning of something to the end, then that's the place to go, and I really would appreciate your support for that. So I'm going to be posting most of my videos on Patreon, and that is a pay-per-view kind of thing. So in that situation, you would be supporting me monthly with a little fee, or as much as you want, but you would have access to different kinds of content from just the basics. So I'm going to stick with the basics here on YouTube, but not as much of it as there has been in the past. And I just wanted you all to know where I've been, what I've been doing, and what I'm going to be doing in the future. I'm not going away. Agoja Arts is not stopping. It's going to be going strong, but finally we're shifting gears. So my original intention to tell stories about the plants and animals and geology of the Southwest, that's what we're going to be doing now. So it may be the case that I do send work to galleries and I do an art fair or two, but the focus is not on doll making production anymore. So I hope that you all understand that, and I hope that you will support me in my new adventure, which I guess it's not really a new adventure, but my dedication to the old adventure. And as always, if you have questions about anything having to do with doll making or sewing or my artwork, please let me know. I will answer to the best of my ability. But if you've been following this channel for a while, you do know that I'm not always the most rapid responder. I do respond, and I do think about your questions, and I do answer them if I can, as completely as I can. So please be patient with me. The gears have been switching, and so now I'm going to be focused on something a little bit different, and I hope you join me in that journey. Thank you very much.